Hello there, everybody. Cal Neddenriep here from the Indy Star. Sectional night is underway. Or the first night of sectionals, anyway, underway, and quite a night here at Noblesville. It was Noblesville winning the first game over Zionsville right down to the wire. It was a low-scoring game most of the way. Kind of picked up there in the fourth quarter. Baron Walker hits a big three, then gets an and one to put Noblesville ahead to stay. And you see some of the scores, or I'll post them now. There we go. Some of the scores are at the bottom. 42-38, Zionsville falls to Noblesville. Walker ends up scoring 20 points in that game. Camden Moore, big game for Zionsville. He's a tough customer there for the Eagles. He ended up scoring 19 points for the Eagles in that one. Not quite enough. Couldn't quite get enough scoring from some other players in that one. But the second game, also really good game. It ends up being HSC winning that one 68-61, much closer than the final score would indicate, though. Again, that one came right down to the wire until about the last 2 minutes. Kyan Kelly, his only basket of the game, on a putback for HSC, puts them ahead by one. That made it 60-59. Varshawn Clark then got a coast-to-coast layup and put HSC ahead by three, and they go on to win 68-61. Landon Oswald had a huge, and I'm going to post a video of him and Bobby Allen talking here in a few minutes, but Oswald ended up 23 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of also one steal, but two big three-pointers there early in the fourth quarter. The game was a three-point game. Westfield actually kind of taking control a little bit in the third quarter, had a 22-point third quarter. Shot the three really well. Brock Dedamore ends up with 18 points. Drew Hafner 17 for Westfield, but they kind of got it rolling there, offensively. And HSC needed a punch back there, and then Oswald gave it to him. Also, Luke Weimer, 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. I thought he did a nice job. Luke Vandergrip's going to be a tough guy going into next year for Westfield in the middle there. 6'10". He had 8 points, 5 rebounds. Yeah, but I thought Weimer did a pretty nice job on him inside, being a little bit undersized there in the middle. But overall, two really good games. We end up getting, Noblesville winning at home here, and then HSC winning their first win in a sectional game since 2021, which is kind of hard to believe as well. But so we end up getting Noblesville playing Carmel on Friday, and HSC and Fishers, the Mudsock Revival. And that'll be interesting. Jason Gardner definitely slated to play in that game. He played in a scrimmage on Saturday. Heard that went well, so he'll be making his return. Since the last game he played was actually against HSC back in the fifth game of the season, so that will be a return to the court for him on Friday night, and that should be a fantastic game. The crowd pretty good here tonight, really good. Not all the way filled. But very good. I would assume Friday night will be even better here at the Mill. But yeah, Sectional 8 should be two outstanding games. Again, Noblesville Carmel and Fishers HSC. And I'm going to bring in Rich Torres right now to talk about his game. Hello, Rich.
Hey, Kyle. What's up? Happy sectional week, man.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you on here with me. And, talking about the sectional that you had over at Greenfield Central tonight. That's sectional 9, and Pendleton Heights, I think, was a team we thought potentially could make a run here and maybe be a pain in Mount Vernon's side. But Anderson turns the tables on him, gets a win tonight, and went right down to the wire, Rich. And just kind of tell us what happened there. It was a 53-51 Anderson win.
Back and forth, man. It was a backyard brawl between like siblings in a way. It had a feel of that old school sectional, geographic format. Obviously, it was in Greenfield, and Anderson Pendleton. They opened the year with each other. Pendleton got that win, first time in 10 games that they've beaten Anderson. So that was a big win for them, and obviously 17 wins on the season. They've been having a great year, and tonight, no lead was safe. It really, it was, as cliche as that sounds, it really was, man. Like Pendleton came out strong, grabbed the advantage, but then Anderson, especially Manu Jackson, man, he came out and looked like he conjured his inner Steph Curry because he was hitting some deep threes and just lighting it up and keeping Anderson in it. as well as their defense, because their defense was outstanding. In the first half, Pendleton had a lot of turnover issues. They had 7 turnovers, I believe, in the first half alone, and Anderson was able to generate some offense that way. But then Pendleton turns it on in the third quarter. They come out the second half. They go on a 12-0 run. They take their largest lead, which is 9 points. And then Anderson just kind of flipped the switch again. This time it was William Davis. William Davis scored 6 consecutive points to chip away at that deficit. And then Anderson kind of does what it does. And it presses, it attacks you up top. That defense that they have, no matter who they put in there, Coach Don Bowling just has his guys ready to go. And they suffocated the passing lanes. They really crashed the boards as well. Pendleton had some issues trying to find their shot, but they were able to keep it there. And the final 50, not actually 35.5 seconds. That was the game, really, right there, right? Pendleton needs a bucket to tie it up. James Hughes gets the lay in with about 15 seconds left. Anderson doesn't call a timeout because they don't have any timeouts. Turn around, go down full court. Ray Bowling is the last one to touch it. The pass it to Don Bowling off on the baseline. Kid just goes up, elevates, hits the game winner, and it sinks and the red light goes on. It's perfect way to start out sectional week, right? I mean, you can't think of a better ending for him. He was having a rough game. At least that's what he said. I mean, he still finished, let's see, with 14 points. So it wasn't a horrible night, but he shot 5 of 16, so he's kind of self-critiquing himself. But that play, that was not a play. There was nothing drafted up. Coach Bowling basically, before they went out for that final possession, before Pendleton had possession and tied it up 51-51 off of James Hughes layup, he basically told his son, he's like, if it comes down to you, just go. And that's what he did. Don Bowling Jr. basically told me, he's like, there was no play. I just knew I was getting the ball and I had to do something with it. And it was pure instinct. So, Coach Bowling, he was pretty fired up, obviously. He pointed at the scoreboard at the end of the game and just kind of said, we finally got one. He emphasized, he said it wasn't anything against Pendleton. He has a lot of respect for Pendleton and Coach Rhodes over there. He was just kind of letting some of that frustration boil over from all the losses they've had here the past couple of years here at the sectional, just saying we finally got one, And he said when Don made that shot, he was a dad in that moment. He wasn't a coach. It was a parent moment. And watching his kid hit that game winner and then just get swallowed up by a student section crowd, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool moment for them. But then on the flip side, for Pendleton, what a heartbreaking way to end the year. They have their first winning season in quite some time. Coach Rhodes really has turned that program around. I think they just need, much like Hamilton Southeastern this year, like they just need to remember or figure out how to win, and believe in themselves. And when that happens, good things usually do happen. And I mean, this was a hard fought game. I mean, it could have went either way. Foul trouble for Pendleton kind of hurt him a little bit. Singh went out with 5 fouls late in the fourth quarter, and then Hughes was carrying 4 fouls all the way to the end. So they had to rotate those guys out a little bit. But Connor Sims, game high 22 points. He shot fantastic. Singh finished with 12. But Anderson again is 11 steals. They forced 12 turnovers. They were able to get the stops when they needed to, and then the big buckets when they needed to as well. And again, it's this contending Anderson team every year that kind of comes in, and the years we think they're going to win, they lose, and the years we think they're going to lose, they win. So here we are once again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in Pendleton Heights finishes 17-6 in Jared Rhodes' first season, like you mentioned. Cooper Sims had a really nice year. That team, I did see them a couple times, and you get the feeling that they could be a pain in the side of somebody. But Anderson gets them tonight, and I did you mentioned that a little bit, Rich, about Coach Bowling's reaction. I did have some questions about that. I'm sure you saw on Twitter as well from a couple different people, and I think some there's some discussion on different miscellaneous social media about taunting or something like that. And you can't see it on your video, and I know you're not looking at that as you're taking that video, or probably didn't really necessarily see what happened. But anything to report on that, Rich?
Yeah, I didn't get a really good look at what happened, but I did hear about it afterwards. And like I said, Coach Bowling kind of emphasized the fact that it wasn't personal. He wasn't trying to get in their face. He was more or less pointing towards the scoreboard and where the sidelines are, um, and the way their scoreboards are set up. He kind of has to turn to his right, which is where Pendleton's bench is, and the scoreboard's kind of over there on their side. Um, and he was just kind of emphasizing the fact that he was kind of just saying, we got one, as in we got a sectional win, not who they beat. So he was very diplomatic about it after the game when he did talk about it. He understands it probably looked bad, but one thing about Coach Bowling is that he's a very passionate man.
Yes.
He's a very passionate coach. He will tell you how it is, no matter what. Sometimes he may regret it afterwards, but he's that type of a coach, that type of person, and like I said, he was a dad in that moment, so his emotions were sky high, and that the when the buzzer went off. So his team wins finally. Kind of, I think it's 3 years since they won a sectional game. Don Bowling, his son, hitting that game winner. His other son giving him the assist. I mean, yeah, yeah. Uh, he was a coach, but he was definitely a dad in that moment. Yeah, it was no ill intent based on what he's saying. I don't know if he apologized. I think he might have. I'm not sure, but I was, yeah, I didn't get exact pinpoint look at what happened because I was looking at the celebration. But yeah, I heard about that too. So as far as I know, as far as he mentioned, there was nothing personal about that. Nothing, no taunting. It was just a coach and a father having a moment, more or less.
Well, and hopefully that's just it's emotions run high. These are sectional games, and that can things like that can happen. I'm sure there's feelings on the other side, or people may have had a better look at what happened exactly, but we can only know what we know uh, from uh, from our perspective. The So that sets up to the other game tonight. Muncie Central beat Richmond 56-47. So the scene at Greenfield Central on Friday night will be Mount Vernon against Muncie Central in the first game. Greenfield Central will play Anderson. I think that'll be a really good game. Greenfield, of course, 11-11 this year. They're not, the juggernaut they were last year with Braylon Mullins, but they have Braylon's younger brothers leading them in scoring this year. I think that could be an interesting game in the nightcap there. But you got to like Mount Vernon's chances right now to get into the championship, certainly, and then and really to win it. This sectional's not as strong, I would say, as it was last year, but Greenfield and Anderson both are pretty good teams as well. And Muncie is not bad either. Uh,
Yeah.
So you count on anything this time of year. Jeff Holloway is a good coach who knows what he's doing at Muncie Central, and they have an outstanding sophomore player as well. But early thoughts on those matchups, Rich?
Yeah, my apologies for the flashing lights over here. Somebody's getting towed.
Are you
So
are you pulled over? You're not being
no, I am. I'm in a parking lot, but yeah, somebody's getting towed over here. So just if you see that light, that's what it is. Yeah, actually, Coach Ware was there scouting, obviously, and he was really talking about Anderson's just pressure defense and Don Bowling. His favorite shot is that baseline jumper, which is what he used to hit the game winner. Um, I think he understands what they're facing. It's going to be a lot of pressure defense, a lot of up tempo. I think what Pendleton kind of exposed was that if you slow it down, you go more half court set, you can kind of control that. But Anderson's so fast, when their defense is humming along, they can put up points in a hurry. Much like when they were down by 9. I mean, they were only down by 3 in a matter of 15 seconds, more or less, because William Davis just kind of went off. He, 2 turnovers, one caused by him, and then he had the first conversion before that span started. So like Anderson is that type of team. So like even if you get them down almost by 10, they'll make it a 2 possession, 1 possession game in about 30 seconds. So you got to play heads up, take care of the basketball, and that was one thing I think he kind of was considering and noticing. And then Mount Vernon, their basketball team actually showed up. They were
Mhm.
there and they were watching. And they watched the end of that game. So that they're they're not looking past Muncie Central, obviously, because Central, like you said, I mean, they're a very solid team. They took care of the ball really well against Richmond. A lot of good ball handling and control. Ate up some clock. Richmond had some issues, getting some shots, some low shooting, but they played hard. So yeah, I think Muncie Central. I mean, they're going to come out and really it's kind of like last year. It's like Mount Vernon just has to play their game, not look past anybody. But that Greenfield Anderson game, I don't know. That could be interesting because
Yeah.
Anderson showed in that first half that when they miss their shots, they rely a lot on the 3-pointer. And if those threes don't fall, then that deficit gets big. So I don't know. I obviously I think the favorites are the ones you have to go with. But I wouldn't put anything past the underdogs. Not this year. Doesn't seem like it.
Well, and Rich, you'll be out here where I am tonight on Friday,
Yep.
covering the double header here. That should be an awesome scene. The sectional eight always bounces between Carmel and Noblesville every year. This year it's at Noblesville, and Noblesville will be in the game on Friday. They won tonight, like I said, beating Zionsville. Noblesville lost to Carmel earlier this year, 62 to 50 or 64 to 52, I should say. That was when Carmel started out just red hot at the beginning of the season. Noblesville does not have Justin Curry. That makes them, it obviously takes away one of your best players, or maybe arguably your best player, and Baron Walker is right there too, with him as at the top of that lineup. But big loss, obviously, for Noblesville, but thought they looked pretty good tonight. They went through an offensive stretch where they really struggled, but able to get through and beat Zionsville 42 to 38. And then, of course, the other game, HSC beat Westfield 68-61. So your second game is going to be quite a doozy on Friday. Fishers and HSC. Fishers 23-0, HSC 15-9. But they seem like a lot better team right now, Rich. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun for you to cover on Friday night.
They've won 8 in a row now, right? I think.
Yes, 8 in a row since they actually lost to Noblesville 56-49 right at the end of January, and then beat that Pendleton Heights team we were just talking about, and just took off from there. And good wins, including a win over Carmel. When they came back from down 17 to beat them, and they beat Lawrence North in that stretch as well, in Brownsburg. So a really strong finish to the season. When I watch this team, Rich, I feel like they are not a 15-9 team at all. It feels like they're a much different team now.
Well, it's funny because I remember that Noblesville loss. I was actually there for that, and yeah, it was Bobby Allen. Afterwards, he was frustrated. It was kind of a turning point, really, for them. I mean, obviously, when you look at the schedule, it is, but I think it was a just kind of come to terms moment for everyone, the coaches and the players, because they are talented. I mean, there's no doubt. HSC is very talented. And they even showed that against Fishers when they played in the Mudsock game. They battled them almost all the way down to the end. Um, I think that Noblesville loss was a wake up call in a way that said, "Hey, you're talented. Why don't you show it? Why don't we find some consistency?" And that was the big thing that Bobby kind of mentioned to me after the game when I interviewed him, was just like there's a lack of consistency. There's always one quarter where they just kind of fell apart and they had to pull themselves out of it, and it was just too much to do that over and over again. And since that point, and granted they had, like you said, that Carmel win, an overtime win, I think too, as well, in that stretch, that winning streak. You can kind of sense their confidence just building. They have a nice mix too with Clark and Weimer and Oswald. They have some upperclassmen, some lowerclassmen. Sophomore with Clark. They are dangerous. They're dangerous in a way because nobody's really expecting much, but they're proving to themselves that they can actually contend. And the way they played Fishers at the Civic Center during the Mudsock game, I was impressed. And that's when Fishers was full health. Until the very end when Gardner got hurt. And they hung with them. I think they were able to challenge a little bit more inside, and they were able to kind of use that momentum and that emotion of it, because it's your top rival, to kind of match blow for blow. So that is going to be an interesting game. If anything, that's a game where Fishers needs to be locked in, and they can't have their slow starts that they kind of have had a little bit this year. They need to jump out, establish, and kind of keep that consistently. Because HSC, I think they're going to ride that momentum wave that they're on. They're looking for another win, keep the streak going, and what better time to do it than that than semis. And Carmel, I mean, Carmel is dangerous too. It's funny, those two teams. I mean, granted, Carmel has losses, Fishers doesn't, but like Carmel's that one of those teams where you can look at them and just say, how have they ever lost? Like they're just that good. They can run on you. They can slow it down. They have the inside out game. Cash Daniels is just phenomenal with the ball in his hand, especially on open court. So yeah, it's again, what a great sectional. Every year, I think we look at that sectional and we say to ourselves, we're really lucky, and the state is unfortunate because we have so many good teams all locked together, and only one's going to get out.
Yeah, it's an absolute battle, and will be no different. Noblesville, like I said, playing without Curry, they're a little bit different, maybe a little bit offensively challenged more than they would have been going into the season, or they were earlier in the season, but still a very dangerous team. Scott McClellan's going to come up with a good plan for that game, and whatever Carmel throws at it, I'm sure they'll be ready for it. Just a matter of can you withstand some of the offensive challenges like they had tonight, and I think that will be difficult to do against like you mentioned, a Carmel team that's really, really good as well. So I definitely favor Carmel there, and obviously you got to favor Fishers, but I would be surprised if HSC does not show up on Friday, after watching that game tonight. And really, like I felt like Westfield, the third quarter, they were outstanding. 22 points in the third. They had a lead. They had a 6-point lead after trailing by 11. And Brock Dedamore and Drew Hafner, both those guys can really get after and really score. And, HSC able to punch back at them. And in the fourth quarter, they Kyan Kelly, like I said, had that big tip in. And that was his only basket, but it was a huge one, put him up by 1. And they just kind of went on. The last 90 seconds of the game was totally belonged to HSC. Hafner fouled out, and that was that. But really good game overall. Rich, I know you got it right, and I do too. And I'm going to cover some of the other games here and play an interview, and then call it a night. But appreciate you coming on here, man.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, happy sectional week. Looking forward to Friday. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Rich Torres, live from he's not getting pulled over. That's just a tow truck.
It's just I'll show you if you want to. Look at that. See, it's not me.
It's not Rich. Not the cops behind him. So just to make that clear.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, thanks, man. All right, thanks to Rich Torres for joining me here. I wanted to go through some of the other scores, and you can see some of them on the bottom line there as I'm talking, but wanted to touch on some of those games tonight around the area. There was a lot of good ones. Not to hold really in 4A now. There's not as many just because of the way the schedule is anymore with the breakdown in the classes. There are just fewer 4A teams now, so not as many games. Some of the other games around the state, Chesterton beat Portage 56-46 up at Chesterton. That was one of the highlighted games of the night. South Bend Adams just barely got by Mishawaka. That's a little bit of a surprise at Mishawaka in sectional 3, 57-55. That's a really good sectional. Adams will now play South Bend St. Joe on Friday night. And also tomorrow you have South Bend Riley and LaPorte and Penn against Michigan City. Those two really good games tomorrow night up at Mishawaka at the Cave. So that'll be fun to see what happens up there. More locally, mentioned the games here at Noblesville. Again, 42-38, Noblesville wins over Zionsville. HSC 68-61 over Westfield. At Greenfield, Muncie Central 56-47 over Richmond. And Anderson on that last second shot, 53-51 over Pendleton Heights. At Tech, LC got out to a big lead on Tech, wins a 79-62. And LC will now play Warren on the second game on Friday. North Central and Lawrence North, pretty big favorite there, I would say, at Tech, but some teams that can give you problems. The other three teams are all capable of beating Lawrence North on a good night, I would say. So, one of the huge showdowns on Friday, the showdown, in my estimation, Pike and Plainfield, 6 p.m. at Plainfield on Friday night. That will be the first game. The second game will be Ben Davis, and Brownsburg gets into the semifinal round with a 54-49 win over Avon tonight. Brownsburg was in the lead most of that game, as I could kind of following that where I could, but Avon came back, cut it to 2 with about 3 minutes left in that game. And then Brownsburg pulls away down the stretch. I heard Brandon Addison had a good finish to that one for Brownsburg. They will play Ben Davis, and I went out on a limb and picked Ben Davis to win the sectional. And I know I heard from some people who disagreed with that one, but hey, that's what the bulletin board material is made for, right? So Pike and Plainfield would be an awesome game, though. Can't wait to see what happens there. I think both those could be really good. Ben Davis beat Brownsburg earlier this year, and that was a 66-49 game. But again, December 20th, so it almost seems like it was 5 years ago at this point. Plainfield and Pike did not play against each other this year, so that'll be the first meeting between those teams. At Mooresville tonight, Southport beat Center Grove 45-32, a low-scoring game there. So Southport gets into the semifinal against Mooresville, and I would think Southport has a pretty good chance there to get into the championship game on Saturday in sectional 12. Decatur Central, the other game, 73-46 over Perry Meridian. So the Hawks will play Franklin Central. That should be a really good game, I think. That's one I think maybe a 50-50 type game. Decatur Central, of course, trying to win their first sectional since 2005. So it's been a long time for the Hawks. This is a team I think that can get it done. They beat Franklin Central back in early January, 51-44. And, again, what do those games mean when it comes down to Friday night? Probably not a whole lot, but they do have the confidence of knowing they can beat that Flashes team. Martinsville, sectional 13. Bloomington South beats Martinsville 56-34. So South will now play Terre Haute South on Friday. And the better matchup there will be Bloomington South and Terre Haute North. Terre Haute North has been on a roll. I think, they're a team I think that could go a long way this year if things go right for them here in the sectional and beyond. But that's a team I think that could be playing in the semi-state and giving some teams a tough battle for sure once they get there. Franklin beats us East Central tonight at Columbus North. That's sectional 14. So Franklin gets into the game against Whiteland. They lost to them twice this year. They get a chance to play them again. Whiteland 18-5. That should be. I think Whiteland's the favorite there, but who knows? Anything can happen. Jeffersonville wins at Seymour tonight as well. So Jefferson and New Albany both win tonight to get into the semifinal round there at Seymour. New Albany wins 80-64 over Scottsburg. New Albany pretty heavy favorite there in that sectional there. Locally in Class 3A, and just looking through, I didn't see a whole lot of upsets, I would say, in 3A tonight. I could be wrong, kind of flying through these a little bit. Columbia City won easily. Wawasee beat Tippecanoe Valley. Blackhawk Christian beat Angola. That was probably one of the better games of the night. That was up at DeKalb. And then locally, like I said, Brebeuf Jesuit at Frankfort. Brebeuf wins 59-35 over Tri-West. And Brebeuf now will play Lebanon on Friday. Guerin Catholic and Frankfort, the first game there on Friday. You still have one other game on Wednesday, Danville and Crawfordsville at Frankfort. So and actually Guerin and Frankfort's tomorrow. That's my fault. That's a Wednesday game, not a Friday game. Hamilton Heights wins over Newcastle tonight, 59-42. So Hamilton Heights will play Delta over at Newcastle, sectional 24. And Yorktown beat Jay County. So Connorsville and Yorktown, that's a very competitive sectional 24 over there. Sectional 26 was at Broad Ripple tonight. Cathedral 100-51 over Shortridge. That was a bit of a surprise there as the margin of that game goes. And Chittard beats Purdue Poly 72-57. So you have Heron versus Cathedral and Addicts versus Chittard on Friday in those two games. Over at Speedway tonight, Washington beat Speedway 54-39. Edgewood beat Owen Valley 47-30. So it'll be Cascade and Edgewood, and then Northview and Washington over there. One of the better sectionals where I'll be tomorrow is Greenwood. 3A, Indian Creek will play Beech Grove at 6 p.m. New Powell will play Roncalli at 7:30. And then Shelbyville will play Greenwood, which won. This is Friday. Shelbyville will play Greenwood on Friday. Greenwood beat Rushville tonight 77-42. Had no trouble there. So that'll be a really good semi. I covered that game earlier this year. Shelbyville beat Greenwood at home. That was that was 67-58 game. Shelbyville won that one. So Shelbyville, another team trying to break through and win their first sectional in 25 years, but a pretty tough road there. I got to beat Greenwood, and then either probably be the winner of the New Powell Roncalli game, but Beech Grove I think has a chance there. They're better than their 8-16 record might indicate there. But yeah, looking down at some of the other games tonight, Charlestown, that was a big game in Madison. Charlestown beats Cordon Central 69-64 in overtime. So Charlestown, they probably are the team now that will play Silver Creek in the championship there down at Madison. I think Silver Creek's pretty heavy favorite in 3A. They are a very, very good team. Also tonight in Class 2A, locally, Taylor beat Tipton. That's not local, but LaPel and Frankton also played tonight. And LaPel rolled over Frankton 68-38. That's a surprise, the margin of victory there. And Taylor, I thought, I didn't think they'd had that much trouble with Tipton, win by 6 in overtime. So that's a little bit of a surprise. Western Boone also wins again at Delphi, over Delphi 63-55. And also a bit of an upset there. North Montgomery beat Seeger. So that Delphi sectional 37 at Delphi, just kind of wide open there. You have 4 teams now in the semifinals, all with records under 500 going into Friday. Blackford beat Alexandria at Eastbrook, sectional 40. Blackford will play Eastbrook on Friday night in the semifinal there in sectional 40. And one of the biggest surprises, Park Heritage tonight. I saw that game was going into overtime. I hadn't seen the final till now. 56-44 over Greencastle in overtime. So that was a surprise. Did not expect that game would be that close tonight. Park Heritage, I think, a team that could win the whole thing this year. Ritter beats Riverside 61-49. Riverside had a great season. They were in that game right until the end. And University beats Monrovia in the first game 74-44. So you have 2 really good games there. Covenant Christian University and Park Tudor and Ritter in the doubleheader on Friday night. At Eastern Hancock, Kip Indy Legacy wins tonight 72-39 over Irvington Prep. And in the 1A local games tonight, Purdue Broad Ripple wins 47-30 over Indiana Def. And International Anderson Prep, I heard there's a leak there in the roof, so they will have to finish that game, I believe, tomorrow. I'm not sure how far along. I have to check into that, see how far along that game was, but that game will resume at a different point. That happened one other time I can remember over at Shortridge where they had to finish a game. I think it was Brebeuf and Guerin a couple of years ago. Had to finish at a later, I think it was played on maybe a Tuesday night, a Monday night instead of a Saturday, if I remember correctly. Also at Tri beats Morristown tonight. That was a game I had my eye on, 49-46. Great season for Morristown. They finish 17-6, but come up just short against Tri. Waldron wins over Southwestern Shelbyville 70-31. The other game locally at Lutheran tonight, Eminence beats Central Christian 53-35, and that should about do it for the local scores tonight around our area here. I'm going to play an interview here with, and hopefully this comes up okay, but I don't know if the connection was great. Landon Oswald and Bobby Allen joined me after the game, but I'm going to play that interview now. Up here with Landon Oswald, and it was a great game. Second game tonight at Noblesville Sectional 8, first round game. It's 68-61. Final tonight. HSC wins it over Westfield. And Landon, you had a great game tonight. 23 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of big threes there late in the game to kind of break it open a little bit. But it's been a long time for HSC to win a sectional game. What's it like, first of all, for you guys to get through and play another round?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to one of our assistants. We haven't won a sectional game since 2021. I mean, just watching us every year, I was like, I want to get to that stage. I want to win a sectional game. So, I kind of envisioned it, like just going all the way, winning here, hopefully Friday, Saturday. But, I mean, just to see it actually happen, it's like, it was awesome. Like, this was my life thing.
You guys took a punch there from Westfield, played a great third quarter, and it felt like they had a little bit of momentum going into the fourth. But you guys able to kind of, punch back at them there at the start of the fourth quarter. And looking at my stats here, the game just got over, so kind of looking at what I had here. But you guys came right back. You had that three to tie it, and then had a three to put them ahead. Put you guys ahead there, right? Did you feel something out of the fourth quarter where you were going to be open, or were those just good looks?
I mean, I was practicing before this. I go to shoot with my dad a ton. He rebounds for me, so I was like, I knew they were going to put a Vandergriff on me, so I was like, from last time I didn't really hit my three, so I was like, I was just working in the gym, making sure I got to where I can get to this moment I can knock them down. So I got a lot of threes up. I mean, I knew they were likely to guard me, so I mean, I was just going to in my work and make it happen. So.
HSC's done a roll here late in the season. You guys, a streak going on. You've been playing really well here lately. Could you kind of feel that momentum, even coming into tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew we were capable of doing what we're doing right now. We just had to bond, play together, team defense, and move the ball and everything. So I think that Carmel second half was what really got us going. And then after that, we just knew we could beat anybody in the state if we just play right. So just continue to do that every game.
Kai and Kelly had a huge putback there. An athlete who could go get it. Gave you guys a 1-point lead there late in the game. It's the only bucket he had tonight, but that was a big one to get that. What's he bring to your team?
Oh, I love Kai. I mean, he's a really good defender. I mean, he'll always he was playing great defense on half and it really tired him out. I mean, he always does the little things, great passes, crashing the board. So just makes everything easier for us. So, I mean, he deserved that to get that putback with everything he's been doing for us.
And a lot of seniors on this team, Landon, but also a sophomore, Marshawn Clark, who had a great game tonight too. And he ended up with what did he end up with there? 18 points tonight, and on 8 for 13 shooting. So very efficient night for Clark, but it feels like he's been playing his best basketball here lately.
Yeah, I mean, me, him, Luke, Matt, all of us, we've really been playing our best basketball. I know Varshan before this, he's had 3 straight 20-point games. He really helped us get that win against Carmel a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, he's really shooting efficiently. I'm happy to see it. I think we should take. He's really been good as of late. So I just love to see him playing to his best right now.
So a win tonight for HSC means it'll be Fishers on Friday. Yeah. Mudsock Part 2, which we've seen happen. Not only basketball, but football and other sports, obviously, over the years. But what do you expect out of Fishers on Friday night? What kind of effort do you think you guys will bring?
We're going to have to play nearly flawless game. We're going to have to play perfect. I know not perfect, but I know we had a couple let-ups against Westfield in that third quarter and second quarter. I just have to how we did the start and the end of the game, almost the whole game. We would be a team like Fishers, but I know when we played back in December, we only lost by 6, and we had a lead there in the fourth quarter. And I know they have Jason coming back and they have Hills playing, but I think we can play our right things. Anything can happen.
Well, again, Landon Oswald joining me here. Great game tonight. 23 points, 9 rebounds. Congratulations, Landon, on a great game.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. We're going to bring Bobby Allen in here now. Thanks, Landon.
Yep, thanks for having me.
And you can see Bobby coming into the picture here. And Bobby, first-year coach at HSC. It's been a while since HSC's won a sectional game. Just to get over that hump tonight wasn't easy. Westfield's a great team and gave you all they had there, and especially in that third quarter. I thought they shot the three very well there in the second half. How did you guys kind of were able to get the corner turn there in the fourth?
Listen, I think our guys over the past, 5-6 weeks have started to compete at a higher level. Being a new coach, trying to come in and make some changes, trying to get the guys to respond the way we want them to respond was difficult early. And we found something lately where I think guys are playing a little more loose. They're playing with confidence. They're willing to share the ball because they know we have multiple weapons that can score at any given moment, as we showed tonight with 3 guys in double figures. But even on the ride over here and in the film and our little walk through it at school before we came over, I just don't sense any stress in them right now. So just playing with great confidence right now, and the coaching staff, man, just can't say enough about them and the game plan they put together and just how hard everyone's working right now and just how bad they want it. So it's a fun situation to be a part of right now, I think. And again, whether it's Westfield, Zionsville, Noblesville, Fishers, Carmel, whoever it is, there's no great draw that you're going to see here. So I think we're looking ahead to more battles, obviously in a couple of days on Friday night, and then we can take care of business, have another one on Saturday night.
And I didn't mention Luke Weimer. I thought he got off to a great start for you guys tonight. He ends up with 12 points. But Landon, man, I mean, that's what he did there in the fourth quarter. I know sometimes it's some matchups. They can only guard so many guys. That seems to be your strength, I would say, is you just can't guard everybody, and that's a benefit for you guys.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, between Luke Weimer and Landon Oswald and Marshawn Clark, they're kind of the 3 that are scoring the most right now. But I'm telling you, Maverick Young is going to knock down some big-time shots coming up here soon. And then Jack Jacobs, how about him just controlling the tempo of the game all night? And then Kai and Kelly, I mean, you said it earlier, the tip-in that he had at the end of the game, just being an athlete and not quitting. I mean, a guy who's going to go play football at Butler next year, just going out and the fact that he's wanting to play basketball and be a part of this just shows the type of competitor he is. And that play right there where he tips it in for us kind of sums up the group right now, the energy they have and the fact that they just want to continue to keep playing basketball.
Yeah, I saw Michael Kelly down the hallway there. I said, football kid making a huge play in a sectional basketball game. That was massive to get that in there.
Big time, man. And Coach Kelly's with those guys every single day, working with them in the weight room. He's just so positive. So everything that they're getting for football is definitely helping this program.
Well, huge win tonight. Now you turn your attention to Fishers on Friday. And I know this place is going to be rocking. It always is on Friday night of the sectional. What do you expect out of that? Your team going into that game on Friday night, Bobby?
I just, game plans are going to be game plans. Coach Weiner's going to do a great job preparing them, and we're going to prepare our guys. But, at the end of the day, these guys grow up with each other. They know what's going on. They know what each other can do. And, I'm expecting just, a war and a battle for 32 minutes. I think the way we're playing right now, we do have confidence, but they have a lot of weapons too. They've won, 53 straight regular season games for a reason. They know what they're doing. They know how to win in the end. So we're going to come out. We're going to give it our best shot. And tell you what, what we've done the past couple of weeks, we're confident in what we're doing. But anything can happen here in March. So we're excited for the opportunity to play another game. Very appreciative of our fans that were here tonight, our administration, what everyone's doing. It just feels like there's a lot of positive energy going on.
And then just to ask you, what was the plan with Hafner? What are you trying to do with him tonight? Obviously, he's a great offensive player. You really made him work hard, I thought, for what he did get.
Maverick Young was our guy on defense. We didn't even have to talk about it. Once the draw came out, we knew that Maverick was going to come out and guard Hafner. He has a way about him on the defensive end right now that just makes life tough for the opposing team's leading scorer. He dug in, he fought through screens, and he was up in him all night long, and you could tell he was wearing down a little bit late. But not only that, but how about Neddenriep inside?
Yeah.
How physical he is. And for Luke Weimer to have, 12 points and 7 rebounds tonight and having to guard Vandergriff inside all night, he's a tough guy to handle down there. So, defensively is kind of where things are moving for us right now. Coach Bennett is working his tail off every single day with these guys. If we can let our defense continue to create offensive opportunities for us, I think that's where we can be successful.
Well, thanks again, Bobby Allen, joining me. It's going to be Noblesville and Carmel and HSC and Fishers. Man, that sounds like a great doubleheader on Friday night at the Mill. Again, Kyle Neddenriep here for the Indy Star, joined by Bobby Allen. Thanks for joining me.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks again to Landon Oswalt and Bobby Allen for joining me there. Sorry about I think it's just the connection there wasn't great, but a great game. And nonetheless, HSC had Landon Oswalt again, 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 for 7 from the 3-point line. Like I said, those 2 big ones there at the start of the fourth quarter certainly were a key. 6 for 6 from the free throw line as well. But really a team effort. Sometimes Oswalt gets, he's you can't guard everybody. It's hard. They're a hard team to guard because there are so many different players who can score. Luke Weimer, I thought, got off to a great start. And like I said, Varshawn Clark continued to play really well. But there's other guys on this team. Jack Jacobs, like Bobby Allen mentioned, has 8 points, 2 assists, kind of plays an underrated role for this team. And, just other guys they can bring in. Kyan Kelly, like I said, only took that one shot. Wasn't even a shot. It was a tip in, but he gets it to go. Very athletic play by him there to make that. And, not a great shooting night for Maverick Young. But he can make those shots, and he probably will on Friday. But a lot of different guys who can score on that team for HSC. So again, you can run through. I don't have all the scores listed there. I'll have we'll do another preview show, and I'll get everything included there. But I was going through the scores again. There weren't a ton of upsets tonight. There were some good games, though. And again, these Tuesday night games, there's not as many 4A games. So a lot of the games are happening in the 1A through 3A level. But will be a handful of games tomorrow night. Like I said, I'll be at Greenwood for that doubleheader, Indian Creek and Beech Grove in the first game. Looking forward to seeing Beech Grove play for the first time this year. And then New Pal and Roncalli. And that should be a really good one. New Pal 13-11, a much different team than they were a year ago with all those seniors and Julius Gizzi and Moses Haynes and those guys. Different team, but still talented. still have that winning thread to them, I would say. And then Roncalli, a lot of seniors on that team. So this is kind of a year where they feel like maybe they can get through, but have to get through a team they only beat them on a last second shot. Luke Feldman, with about 2 seconds left, beat them by 3, 43-40. So that was a really close game during the season. And then Shelbyville and Greenwood already into the semifinal there on Friday night. So the winners of those games will be the other semifinal game. But again, thanks for joining me here. Appreciate Rich for joining me, and Landon Oswalt and Bobby Allen. Going to finish our stories here, get everything put up and posted. But thanks again for joining me. We'll talk to you next time here, and probably will not do this tomorrow, but like I said, we'll have a preview going into Friday's games, talking to some people on Talkin Hoops. So appreciate you being with me.